How do you use the board, and how has that changed over time?
I probably use it fairly similar to how I used to use the old 50-degree board, really. Basically have limit bouldering sessions where maybe just working, 1, 2, 3 move. Maybe it's the stand up of a hard problem. So just working really at my limit. And then I have more sort of volume sessions where I just sort of warm up and then go up to a certain level and just try and do a load of volume. And I have a few sort of set workouts that I've done and everything as well.
Question from Will. How would Ben recommend structuring sessions on the MoonBoard? And I would love to just hear, what of all the things that you've tried, what are some of those session formats that rise to the top that feel like staples that you stick with?
For sort of maximum strength power, like limit bouldering sessions. So that's like warming up, which maybe takes about 45 minutes, depending, 30 or 45 minutes, I would say. And that's sort of gradually, on a MoonBoard, I suppose, gradually sort of increasing the grade until, probably up to about, for me, 7A plus, something like that, 7B. And then just working maybe 2 or 3 problems for 20 minutes a piece, with good rests in between each try, maybe 3 minutes rest in between each try. That's kind of how I sort of think, as maybe even more 4 minutes. That's how I sort of would structure a sort of limit bouldering session. That's probably an hour and a half board session, if you count your warm up and everything. Basically, you're doing sort of 3 move boulder problems really, or even 1 move boulder problems. So that'd be one session. And then another session would be sort of a more volume session, which again would be probably same warm up as for the sort of limit bouldering session. That could be like 10 boulder problems, finishing at sort of 7A plus or something. And then I would probably just do a load of problems around about that grade, around about at my flash grade, or second or maybe third try. Maybe do 10 problems or something. So you might, including your warm up, you might do 20 problems or something like that.
Do you put a cap on those, like no more than a certain number of tries in a session like that?
Well, on the limit boulder problem, that'd be, like I say, probably maybe 20 minutes working one particular problem and then 20 minutes on another. Well, it's not a whole problem, it's part of a problem really. It might only be 1 or 2 moves on that problem. And stop when you, as soon as you start to feel like your strength is starting to dip, then stop. I think if you keep going on there, you're not going to get gains and you're going to risk getting injured. And I would say the same for the other session as well. As soon as you start to feel that, you're dropping off, then I would stop. Or maybe just go back down, just, warm down, maybe do just a few easier problems to sort of finish off the session. So I'd say those. I do some more structured sessions on the MoonBoard, 4 sets of 4 problems, 3 or 4 minutes rest. But that's a little bit like that sort of volume session I just described, but it's just a little bit more structured. Yeah, you could do sort of pyramids and things like that. For me now, at this sort of the stage that I'm at in my life, mid-50s, having trained for, 30 years and stuff, I'm not trying to get stronger. I'm just trying to slow the decline.
Okay.
And I think my body's so used to sort of training and doing all these things. I'm never really I don't really feel like I'm going to there's not going to be this sort of magic ticket. So, I tend to sort of just do what I want to do, really, do what I enjoy doing.
Yeah. And what is that? I'm curious. You're busy, you're a busy guy. You've got a family now. You've got kids, I believe.
Yeah, I got a 12-year-old daughter.
12-year-old daughter. You've got a big company that you're running. You've got a gym. What does your training schedule look like? And what are the things that feel like the highest priority for you that you make sure that you try to do every week?
Boulder.
Yeah.
Boulder.
How much of it is on the MoonBoard versus other options?
Well, I mean, at the schoolroom, we've got 3 MoonBoards, and then we've got the old 50-degree board from the original schoolroom, and then we've got a splat board. It's probably 50-50 between MoonBoard and then the splat board and the old school board. I probably do climb on the MoonBoard more than any other wall at the schoolroom.
Okay.
But I really try and force myself. I mean, I really think, variety as much as, is really key in climbing, whether you're climbing outdoors or whether you're climbing indoors, and like I was saying about, boards, how it's easy to think that boards are all the same, but actually they're all slightly different. So I do think, I do try to sort of get as much variety in my we're spoiled rotten for climbing walls in Sheffield as well. We've got amazing gyms. So I do try to go to those as well a little bit, just to get as much variety in my climbing tour. But yeah, bouldering's the key thing, and I probably do MoonBoard more than anything else. But
how many of each and which of those sessions that we talked about would you try to fit in a week?
I probably, depends what time it probably depends what time of year it is really, and what my sort of plans are, what my goals are. The last few years, the prime sort of sport, I'm basically focused on sport climbing these days, and the sort of prime sport climbing season is really sort of February, March through to sort of June. So yeah, winter's just sort of training really. And then, once start climbing outdoors, probably don't train very much. And in the winter when I'm training, I mean, I probably focused mainly on sort of, I'd say I do both of those, but probably more sort of on the strength side of things.
Okay.
So more on the sort of limit bouldering, trying to do sort of really hard boulder problems than sort of the volume stuff.
Okay. What might that ratio look like? Is it like two strength and power sessions for every volume session, and then it flips?
Maybe not quite that, but yeah, okay. Probably something like that. Two in a week is maybe a bit too much, but yeah. Something like that, I would say.
That's probably good for people to hear that 2 in a week is maybe a bit too much. How many total days a week do you train or climb these days?
Right now, I'm not actually climbing that much because I've been surfing quite a bit. But, before the summer holidays, the first half of the year, I was climbing a lot. I mean, I don't know, four times a week or something. Maybe once we was climbing outdoors and maybe trying to red point routes. It was less than that, but yeah, I would say 4 times a week. Well, I don't know if that's a lot. I don't know if that is a lot, actually. It feels quite a lot to me.
Yeah.
The listeners have been thinking, that's not a lot.